They'll just pick up the background noise. But if you want to sing it first, I'll do it. 1, 2, 3. All right, and we're synced up, like the floweth of women. Yeah. I start every episode after I sync up. I do a little joke about syncing of periods.
A little period joke. That's good.
Because I did it one episode, and it was a really good episode. And then the next episode, I did it, and I had a guest on.
Is it still good?
Well, no, it bombed because I didn't do the joke. And then the very next episode, I did the joke again, where I said synced up like a period, and then the joke was great.
Whoa.
Oh, we're right above the train right now.
For sure.
I thought you were farting, and I thought the vibrations were traveling.
No, I don't fart like that anymore. Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? Because, well, I started this pod right after I quit drinking, and thank you, and like trying to fix a lot of my degenerate behaviors.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'll just sit in front of the camera for 40 minutes and just kind of confess to all my sins. Yeah. And talk about how I'm really trying to be better. And really trying to work on those things and what I'm doing to put in place to work on them.
Yeah.
And usually I don't follow through on them, but I set the intentions. And
that's half the battle.
It is half
setting the intention.
Yeah, but
trying to be better.
I guess. Except sometimes, I take pretty big dips.
Yeah.
And I say one thing and I do another.
I'm right there with you, dog.
Yeah.
I do the same shit.
Well, that's why I had you. You were a religious man.
I am a religious man.
And we are in the middle of everything right now.
Do you want to give him some context?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. First of all, welcome to the podcast. Hello. Welcome to I Don't Want to Be a Piece of Shit. I'm your host, Carter Dockerty. And today I'm on with my guest, very funny comedian, Ismael Loutfi. And we're in freaking Prospect Park right now in New York City. Brooklyn. I'm a little all over the place. I don't normally start out this discombobulated.
You're out of sorts, brother.
I'm very out of sorts. I hate this city.
That's crazy to me. This is the best city in the world.
It's so inconvenient. I left the apartment without my microphone, so we're using two phones. Yeah. And I was 40 minutes into my train ride when I realized I didn't have the microphones. I was like, there's no turning back now. And then I get all the way here and realize I forgot my HDMI. This is more of a me problem.
Yeah, I think you just didn't wake up right, or you did something weird in your diet yesterday, and now today you're kind of paying the price.
Yeah,
because that's not New York.
That's not New York.
It's not New York's fault. The same thing could happen in any city. You could go do all your shit, get your stuff in your car, and then drive 30 minutes, and you got to drive back, and it's like, damn.
But I feel in the Midwest, in Ohio specifically, whenever I have an issue, I can just solve it. Like I need an HDMI cord. I just put in Walmart in my GPS and I drive 10 minutes. Here, right before you got here, for 8 minutes, I didn't have the HDMI cord. I went to all 4 different bodegas here. They all had USB-C cords. They all had chargers. And I stopped in at this big store at the end of the corner. They didn't have one either. And so we set up and I ran and I stopped at 3 stores on the way to this Walgreens, and none of them had an HDMI cord. Then I run around the Walgreens, and I asked this lady, do you guys have an HDMI cord? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, can you help me?
I don't think you have an issue with New York. I think you just really are dependent on Walmart.
Dude, I fucking love Walmart.
I think that's your bigger problem.
I love Walmart.
Yeah, and you got to get over that.
Do you not like the convenience? Because you like it here. You love it here.
I love it. It's the best place.
What do you like?
I like that you could just walk around and you can see all sorts of shit all the time, and there's endless amounts of people. Everyone's interesting, everyone's scary, and everyone's beautiful, and it's inconvenient. It's a hard city to live in, but you just get over that.
Okay.
You get over that. It's easy to live. It's easier to live here if you move with work or a job or something, which I don't have right now, and I'm still loving it. I've lived here multiple times, and with money, without money, it's always the best. As a comic, though, nothing is better.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate thing. If New York didn't have a comedy scene, I could see it being like, yeah, this place is really, it's really kind of hard on you. Well, and I don't really know why people love it. But with the comedy scene, and the truth is that's the case for almost every art form. Mm-hmm. If you're big into glass blowing, I'm sure New York is like the place for that.
I fully understand that. I'm because that's what I think in Chicago is that for me, where I'm like, this is difficult enough, right? But I love the comedy so much that I'll deal with it. Yeah. But every time I'm stuck in traffic in Chicago, I'm sitting there looking around, like, what is everybody doing here? They don't even do stand up. Why are they living here?
I know.
They could live in Ohio and be an engineer there. It's better.
I love how suburban you are.
Oh my God.
You're a suburban. You're not a farm kid, right?
No.
You're not a country person.
I lived in every like prefabbed. Every home is the same.
You're like a
cul-de-sac
true
neighborhood.
suburb person, and you don't belong here.
You
don't belong in a strip mall or in a cul-de-sac.
Dude, I can't even begin to talk about how much I don't.
Are you
belong.
in high school? I keep thinking you're like 18.
I'm 24.
You're 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm older now.
Yeah, you are older.
I'm older than previous when we met.
You're getting old.
Mm-hmm. So I'm full grown.
Yeah. Kinda.
I mean, if you were to go 50 years ago and tell a 24-year-old man that he's not full grown, that'd be an issue.
No, totally. Yeah, well, 50 years ago, you'd have a whole bunch of hogs.
Hogs?
You'd have a big old hog farm.
Oh, actually,
you'd have slop. You'd have hog. No. You'd be living on a hog farm. You'd have a wife and 6 kids. 4 of them would be sick.
Well, how did you grow up? You grew up in Florida.
I grew up in a suburban town too, but I hated it.
You hated it.
I hated it.
Well, that's exactly.
It made me want to kill myself. It was so sad and just hot, and there's nowhere to go, and everywhere is 30 minutes away. My town I grew up in, Ocala, was just really badly established. I don't know, like they made it wrong. So everywhere is 30 minutes from everywhere else, and I was just happy to get out. I was happy to go anywhere else.
So you grew up in a cul-de-sac neighborhood. See, when I was growing up, like I was always thinking
a poor cul-de-sac neighborhood.
Okay.
Should be said. It was not like a well-off. It was like a poor sort of ghetto neighborhood, but it was still suburban and like.
Like what was the racial makeup of your neighborhood?
Black and Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Yeah, my elementary school was all Puerto Rican. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I went to a very white grade school.
Sure.
And I went to like a quarter black private high school.
A private high school?
I went to a private Catholic high school.
That's great.
I really loved it.
Did you actually?
I did actually. Really, really love it.
Whoa.
But to me, it was insane because I went to a public grade school, but it was in like a really uppity area. So then my high school, I was like, oh, I'm going in the city. I mean, the school was located in the worst neighborhood of Akron.
Oh, funny. My high school was like a 90% black, and it was in a bad part of Ocala, my hometown, and they put the private program, the IB program, in it to raise the grades. So I also went to a predominantly black
but it was a good school?
Yeah, well, because we were a part of this like weird little caste system where we were like in the higher, it was like hard to get into.
Did they have was there a large Muslim population in your area?
No. There was like maybe 50 families.
Oh, okay.
50, 60 families, yeah.
That's not a lot at all.
No, not a lot. All Palestinian. No, it was great.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't great. It was kind of dinky, but it was fine.
Wait, you're not Palestinian,
No, I'm
right?
Syrian.
Okay, that's what
But the whole community was Palestinian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Florida in a very small Muslim community.
Yeah, tiny.
And you were devout.
Very devout. Yeah, it was my whole thing. It was my raison d'être, as they say. Yeah, just being in that kind of environment where there's nothing going on, maybe you can relate to that, of like religion does fill that void where there's nothing else in town.
Well, yeah.
And so your whole thing is like, I'm this community. It's a small community. We're like underdogs. This is my whole thing. And yeah, I did love it. I love my little Muslim community for sure.
Man,
it gave me purpose. It was the only thing around.
Growing up as a Muslim in the South, and now you're in damn New York City
now
with Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah, bro, I'm in the jihad capital of America now.
God, to be you right now.
Yeah, it does feel weird to see him, and he's 2 years older than me, but like that's not enough.
Whoa.
He's not old enough. Like,
see, because to me, I'm like, you're 40. That old, and for me, and I'm like, I didn't know Mamdani was that young.
He's 34, dude. I'm 32. I'm looking at him like, God damn. He's getting so many views.
Yeah, if you could only get that many views.
Oh, it's devastating, but also it's exciting. I hope he does some shit.
Yeah, so I feel as though, because most people I know that are devoutly religious, usually don't don't fit into the modern world well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'm very curious about, is somebody being a devout Muslim entering New York City, living in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, granted, it's not the same as where I, like, come from, where the people that are really religious are then, then very discriminatory with their views.
Sure. Well, you know, if you're in, like, a minority, you have to find a majority to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Usually. There's some communities that don't do that. Like, I'm sure, like the Amish or whatever, or the Hasids. A lot of Hasid communities are just very insular. And
I'm dumb. What's Hasid?
Hasids are... You've been in New York for a month. You don't know the Hasids? They're the Jewish community. They live in Borough
Hasidic.
Park. Hasidic, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Borough Park and Kensington, and they wear the hats, and they're very insular, and they've got their own buses and stuff. And in a way, they've made that work of, like, we're just going to be like our own thing. But for the most part, if you're a minority group, you have to find a larger group.
Almost like Chinatown too.
What do you,
at least
what do you mean?
in Chicago, like, I wanted to rent in Chinatown.
Yeah.
But you can't, because all the listings are only in Mandarin.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so, like, you call them and you start speaking English, they won't.
They won't
talk,
even.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because it was, like, the best location for me to live in Chinatown, because, like, I wanted to be able to go south.
Yeah, of course.
But I couldn't find a single place.
Wow. That's kind of discriminatory, honestly.
But it's because they wanted to keep the community.
You should have got a little translator with you.
I was calling over the phone, and
you should have got a little dude with you. You should make a Chinese friend.
And then you go on, like, the like, you can copy and paste, but they'll eventually find out when somebody named Carter Dockerty sends in an application.
Yeah, damn. That sucks. So, as I was saying, if you're, like, a Muslim or whatever, or Sikh or any of these groups, you can go either way. You can, like, be really insular, or you can try to find a larger thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I found that with, like, lefty politics in a way of, like, my subset of beliefs I can sort of apply into a broader, thing of I want everyone to be doing well. I want people to have their, homeless people to be taken care of, all this stuff. And so you set aside your super, super religious beliefs when you're engaging with other communities, and that's how you make it work in a way.
Okay.
You just glob onto a broader thing that is welcoming to you, And
so you wouldn't say you forfeit the beliefs.
Not at all. No, but you can be very secular passing in a way. I think I pass for, like, a cool liberal guy.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm like, you wear the button-up shirts that seem like they were sewn up by a guy, and you got the pants that. You got the big
cool
belt.
Pants. Yeah, I got the big belt.
That guy might be non-binary.
That's the move. If people think you're non-binary, you're making it in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But I have my convictions. I have my beliefs, and I have a lot of beliefs that people would not be okay to say out loud. But that's just a part of having beliefs, and as long as you're not hurting people or, like, actively discriminating or having any hate in your heart,
see, it's
like you're okay.
I understand this and I agree with this.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that some people that are also under the same, voting for the same guy, if they were to hear you say that, they would be upset by that.
That's fine.
And I wonder, how do you go that we're on the same, we're rooting for the same thing?
Well, because, there's just a difference. There's a difference in what you want in this world and what you think about in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want in this world is the same as what other people want in this world that I align myself with. I want people to be taken care of. I want people to be able to live lives with dignity, all that stuff, all that bullshit. But then what you just said of, like, there's people on the left that would be, like, against being super Muslim, that's okay. Because when you break it down, they think I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm. And you think they're crazy.
And I think they're a little crazy. In that far, when we're getting that macro, when you pull the picture back that far, which we don't, that's the thing, you don't need to do that. To have a nice conversation, to have not all my friends, but half my friends are non-Muslim and are gay and atheist and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we're still existing in this planet together. Mm-hmm. I love you, And You think I'm wrong, I think you're wrong in this macro sense. But how often are we talking about that? Not that often.
Not that often, but for some reason it's all I focus on lately. And
oh,
so
really?
It's all I talk to people about is like what they believe and why.
That's a very 24-year-old thing.
I know. I'm going through my quarter life crisis because I'm always like, because I have such I don't know. I'm always like, what's the point of life? What are you supposed to be striving for?
Yeah.
And like, currently it seems like you should be striving towards enlightenment. You should just try to be at peace, and that's the only way to live your life.
Yeah, but that's so broad.
I know.
What does that mean?
Because I'm like, well, if you reach enlightenment, you can't be attached to anything, so you can't have a family. You can't love anything. I'm like, that can't be the point.
Yeah.
So
no.
then but a lot of people see religion as their point to life, and I was telling you about my best friend who's a born again Christian,
right?
Like devout Bibleist,
heavily concussed.
I was telling him he's heavily concussed. I did a whole 2-hour pod with him on, and I asked him like every question
that's so funny.
About Christianity, and a lot of them took a lot of time for him to come up with an answer. Okay. But I was
God
telling him
him
I was doing this pod with you today, and he was like, "Oh, I got some questions."
Oh, hit me.
Oh, he sent me a lot. Well, first he was asking about if the goal of Islam is to live as Muhammad lived, like that's to be a good
that's
Muslim,
not the
right?
goal of Islam.
I guess not the goal. Yeah,
that's
I
a tenet is to try to emulate the way the Prophet was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying he wanted me to ask do you believe in the hadiths?
Of course.
And then
but here's the thing with hadith is that they're not divine. Hadith are the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Quran is divine word of God. Mm-hmm. So we take the Quran very, very seriously, and we take the hadith seriously. But we don't consider every hadith to be an infallible document. Because how does the hadith, how was it gathered? It was through friends of the Prophet saying, oh, he said this, he said that, he said this, he said that. And so we don't view that as like perfect. You know what I'm trying to say? Like somebody could have misremembered a quote, or somebody could have made something up. Like, so of all the hadith, there's a little bit of picking and choosing here and there, which is just natural. There's so many, and it's not because we don't like that the Prophet said this. It's more like maybe you will see one, you'll read one, and you'll go, that doesn't sound authentic. That doesn't sound like right.
And different
that doesn't sound like
ones
something he would
like
have said. Because then you break it down to like the chain of narration, and you go, probably the guy who narrated it from that guy, from that guy, from that guy, doesn't sound, So anyway, we do, of course, the hadith, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I read like a scholarly breakdown of the question that I'm about to ask, and I see
Here
like the answer. Yeah, the one that every Christian puts forward. He's like the I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Aisha,
yeah.
That she was 9 years old at the time.
Yeah, the age thing. So there's different scholars who have different opinions on how old she was. Some people say she was 9. Some people say she was 16. There's and there's like, oh, well, they didn't get married until this battle, and she was 16 when this battle occurred, so she must have been 16. But at the same time, people getting married to women or girls that were like under the age of 16 was like pretty common in the 7th century, and it didn't mean that you were consummating, you weren't fucking. It usually meant that you were betrothed to the kid, and there's no hadith, or there's no saying, or there's no tradition in Islam that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was having sex with a child. And here's the thing, if he was, that it would have been documented. They were documenting every single thing that he did, always. Which is why I say the hadith, you have to kind of like take it with a grain of salt sometimes, because it's like, there's a billion of them. It's like, oh, he would sit with his foot like this. The Prophet would sit with his hand like this. There's endless people saying they saw him do something, and that makes it into the hadith, which is where you kind of have to go. Not all of them can be completely
the explanation
right.
I saw was like that this one sect wanted to emphasize her purity, and so they kind of through retelling would lower her age and make her seem
there's that too. The idea that she was like 6 or 9, I don't even think was a thing that people were saying until like the 1800s, which is 1,200 years after he died. I think the common understanding was that she was young, but she was like 15, 16, which was a very normal age to get married back then. Yeah.
because, well, just to give like more context from my like perspective, my stepdad is very Islamophobic. My best friend is very Islamophobic, and I'm like aware enough to go that they are.
Yeah.
But then they say these things, and then I look them up, and they go like, Islam permits child marriage. I'm like, well, I don't think that can be true. And then I look it up, and I'm like, okay, well, they do. Some sects do use it to justify, but that's all an issue with every religion ever. Yeah,
and also, I mean, it's just not within the broader mainstream Islamic community. It's not like a thing. Like, no one does really child marriage. Well, I'm sure you could find it in villages in like Afghanistan and stuff, but that's more.
And then the propaganda that's being spread amongst the people that are in my circles are like the links to videos about London. They talk about like the refugees coming over there, and now like there's so many underage women being raped, is what they say. I probably need to bleep that.
I mean, I don't really know about London. I don't know about what's going on over there, but I can guarantee you the majority of rapes going on in the UK are done by white British people. I could just
I don't know anything about it. I just know that that's one of the videos.
Because I've seen these things on Twitter too of like, and the Muslim refugees rape and blah blah blah. But then when you look at the statistics, it's like what you would imagine, where the amount that's happening from homegrown British people is like 90% or something. It's like the vast majority.
And this is one that like,
of course,
I literally have no clue about, other like because I don't click any of the links. But I'm still a little bit about me. I was a hardcore right-wing guy for a long time.
Until what age?
I mean, it never really faded of like certain beliefs. When I was 16, I got a "Don't Tread on Me" tattoo on my shoulder.
No way.
Yeah,
that's
in my suburban cul-de-sac neighborhood. I said I wanted a "Don't Tread on Me" tattoo.
And I bet your parents were like so proud.
My mom took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook. She said, "Look at my babies." So I'm still in like the libertarian Reddit groups and stuff like that.
Sure,
and so I'll be scrolling, and that's all they talk about in there is
Muslim rape.
Yeah, and they'll just say like, another one, and it'll just be a meme of like a girl, like a news article, and it'll just say like 4 men, and I like don't ever click it, but I'm like, this is just what people are seeing.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I think like a lot of it is misinformation, and then I think some of it must be true, but then again, when you put it up against the vast majority of those crimes committed in the UK or in America, you see that it's typically not immigrants that are doing that, and it's typically not a minority group. And this is a tactic that's been used for 1,000 years.
That's what I mean.
You highlight the crimes committed by a minority group because it's more sensational, and then you go, look at what they're doing, and even if it is happening, it's like, but the majority of the problem is not this minority group. It's blah blah blah.
But it's what gets people to see like a headline, see that meme, because I like didn't do any secondary research. I just saw that. And then like my buddy sees that, and he goes, "Oh, Islam is a dangerous ideology for a mayor to have," is what he texts me.
That's the other thing is that about Zohran, right? And it's like Islam in this context is not really an ideology, you know? It's a religion. Some would say it's a way of life, but then ideologically speaking, when we talk about ideology, you're talking about how do you practically implement your beliefs, right? That's like what your ideology is. And Zohran is not an Islamist by any means. Nothing of what he says. And if what he said was Islamism, then I think everyone would like Islam. If he was like, if free and fast buses was like a tenet of Sharia law, I think a lot more people would be like, yeah, Sharia law sounds kind of okay. But it's not. Sharia law is it's a huge thing that's everyone kind of misunderstands. But yeah, his ideology is not Islamism or Salafism or anything like that. His ideology is democratic socialism, which is,
I guess,
an a-religious political ideology.
Wouldn't doesn't Islam itself want to be able to like enforce Sharia law? Like, Doesn't it want Sharia, the world to operate under Islam?
To give you an understanding, Sharia means the way in Arabic. And the Sharia is very vague. And we go back to the hadith, which are the things that the Prophet did. Those are the part of the Sharia. So the Prophet, when he would eat, he would eat with his right hand. So that's a part of the Sharia, is that you should eat with your right hand. So is that a law? No. Now, the law part of Sharia comes from, there is a jurisprudence to Islamic governance. To if you have a country that is predominantly Muslim and there's a government that is going to be theocratic, there is a Sharia way to do it, which is the way that the Prophet did it. But if you look at all the Muslim countries in the world, none of them are really doing it. Saudi Arabia is doing like a wild version of it. Afghanistan is doing like a wild version of it. Iran is doing like a Shia version of it. But that's 3 countries out of there's 60 some Muslim countries. The vast majority of them are not doing a Sharia in any capacity, really. And the other thing to say is that Sharia is a thing that does change with the times. Ideally, it does morph into a setting. It doesn't stay the same regardless of context. It should shift. And in our history, you see the Sharia change. In the Umayyad Caliphate, it was one way, which was the first caliphate after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the Abbasids, it became a different way. In the Ottoman Empire, it became very different. It changed. It always does shift and move, which is why when you see what the Afghanis do and the Taliban are doing, they're doing like a very revivalist, reactionary type of Sharia law. Their whole point is like, we're bringing it back to the 7th century, which is something that is not in our tradition. You'd think, oh, that sounds like, oh, they're doing like the old school Islam. That must be the way Islam is supposed to be done.
So what allows it to like change? Is there something that is said that like says this can change with time?
Now, when I say change, I don't mean you fundamentally alter the principles of the religion or the principles of the Sharia. What I mean is that you encounter situations that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not encountering. And you have to make decisions. How do you deal with... So when the Muslims conquered Persia in the 7th century, after the Prophet died, they conquered Persia in 3 years. A big thing in Persia at the time, under the Zoroastrian religion, was incestuous marriage. It was a part of the religion, a part of the culture, was that brother and sister would get married. And that's against Islam, obviously. But then the early Muslims had not dealt with that. The Prophet had not dealt with what do you do with a culture that's so vastly different from our own. Do you strictly say you can't do that, or do you outlaw it? And so you would assume, if you want to look at the basic Sharia that the Prophet himself practiced, you would go, well, that's forbidden, incest, so we should forbid it. But that's not what they did. When the Muslims took over Persia, they said, all right, this incest thing is weird, we don't like it, but we're not going to change your culture by force, because that doesn't work, and that's not what we're taught to do. So we're just going to let you do that and hope that it stops. And eventually it did. Eventually the majority of Persia did convert to Islam over about 100 years, 150 years, and it did stop. The practice stopped. So that's an example of the Sharia can be kind of bended a little bit, and not bended, but it can move. It can move and flow with whatever the context is to make it make more sense. Because you're not supposed to be enforcing things. That's the other thing that people misunderstand about Islam. It's against Islam to force people to convert.
Well, that's
it's against it. It says la ikraha fi din, which means there's no compulsion in religion. You're not allowed to convert people by force. Because naturally, if you convert them by force, they don't believe it. And the whole idea of Islam is to be believing in the oneness of Allah.
I watched like a lot of YouTube videos about the history of Islam, but like I'm so dumb at this point and can't retain any knowledge. But I got from the understanding. I don't think you're dumb. I was like, in practicality, they're pretty accepting. What is it where you're accepting of other thought?
Damn, I know the word.
I don't know. They just didn't persecute as much as I thought they would.
That's the thing that people hold Muslim history to this really unfair standard. People hold Muslim history to the standard of modern history, always. They always do that. They look at Islam and Muslims in the year 1300 and they go, that's what Muslims are like. And if you are if you're even a little bit aware of history, you know that the history of Islamic civilizations was, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, way more inclusive and accepting than Europe ever was. In Europe, majority of Europe, the religion was a state religion.
Well, especially Crusade time.
You could not be a non-Catholic in France in the year 950 AD. It was like it was illegal. You would be persecuted if you were any of the sects of Christianity that popped up. It was not allowed. And they would burn your village down, and the Jews would get constantly kicked out and burned, and pogroms and stuff like that. And that was the history of Europe for 1,000 years. And at the same time, the Muslim civilizations were very accepting of different people, always. I mean, that's why the Middle East has so many little pockets of other religions. You got Druze and Assyrian Chaldeans and Jews and Christians and Maronites and stuff like that, who face issues, of course, and they face persecution. But that's not really in our history. Our history is one of embracing difference and stuff.
But what would you say, one my buddy always sends me is like the calls to kill the infidels, or seeing Jews and Christians as lower than insects. He sent me a verse where it says that.
From the Quran?
Yeah, let me
look that up. I don't know about that. I've never heard that. Lower than insects. That sounds Talmudic, if you ask me. Talmud says some stuff like that about non-Jews.
He said Surah 98:6 calls Jews and Christians the worst of creatures.
Let's see. Let's look it up. Surah Bayyinah. Indeed, those who disbelieve from the people of the book and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell to stay there forever. They are the worst of all beings. It doesn't call them insects, but it does say that they're the worst of all beings.
We talked about it on the phone, he was like, they call them worse than insects. And
it doesn't say worse than insects.
I know it doesn't say worse than
insects. But the funny thing is, like, why do you even have to say that? It's the verse itself is pretty intense. It's like, we're not saying you're worse than insects, but we are saying that you're the worst of all beings. But then also, what's after that? Indeed, those who believe and do good, they are the best of all beings. That's pretty nice.
So Muslims are the supreme.
No, but it's not even saying it doesn't say Muslim. The Quran is very literal in a lot of ways, and the words are very intentional, and it says those who believe. So it doesn't say Muslims. It could say those Muslims who believe, but it just says those who believe. It's very vague.
Okay.
In that way, and I think the context there is.
So I guess this is a dumb question. Do you believe that non-Muslims will go to heaven?
Of course.
Oh,
of course.
Well, that's my whole problem with my buddy, is that I get really upset that I just think that he thinks that most people are going to go to hell, and I'm always like, that doesn't sound nice.
No, I know that doesn't sound nice. I think a lot of people will go to hell. I don't think in Islam there's a difference of opinion, but I don't think hell is eternal. I think there's a lot of hadith and verses from the Quran that would indicate that some people do their time and then can enter heaven. I know that verse we just said they will be there forever. Mm-hmm. So some people maybe will be in hell forever, but I don't think everyone who doesn't believe exactly as I believe goes to hell. I think that's an outrageous way to live life and to see the world. It's a very sad way to see the world. The truth is, as a Muslim, you're not really even supposed to designate whether people go to heaven or hell. I'm not supposed to say that you're not going to go to heaven.
Okay.
It's a sin, honestly, to say that somebody is going to go to hell, because Allah, in our belief, Allah is the most just, and so we don't know. I don't know what the worst person in the world actually did. I don't know what. Who's a bad guy? Stalin, he was a pretty bad guy, but I don't know. Only God knows the truth of his existence. Only God knows what he was actually, how much of, the murders that happened were his fault, how much of this and that. We think we know as historians, but at a religious level, at a theological level, when you're thinking of the divine, you can't be making these assumptions about people. Now, as a human being on earth, you can. But when we're talking about heaven and hell, it's like, that's a different story.
Okay.
That's a different story. That's not for us to judge.
I just growing up as a Christian, I hated the anxiety I had of every time I did something of going like, I'm going to hell now. Like,
yeah,
even though that's not even what Christianity teaches, but
right.
I just somehow believed that as a kid, if I jacked off, I was going to hell.
That's brutal. I never had that fear.
No?
No, in Islam, masturbating is like, some scholars say it's forbidden, and then some say it's a gray area where it's like, it's not good.
Okay.
But it's also, it's not going to get you to hell.
What about homosexuality?
That's a different story.
Okay.
No, even homosexuality, no, it's the same thing. It's like,
I know, I was on a subreddit the other day on r/LGBT_Muslim, and I was reading there's a lot of...
it's a tricky one, man. It's a tricky one. It goes back to the thing I was saying before of like, what you believe as a believer in a religion does not have to impact the way that you interact with people and what, I love gay people. I have genuine connections with gay guys and lesbos, and especially as a comic, we're in this world, and if I have a belief that's one way, it's not a big deal because they have the opposite belief, and it's like we just interact with each other like we're normal human beings. Now, is that an uncomfortable way to be? I actually don't think so. I think it can be. I think some people exist in a way that makes them angsty about these questions and these issues. But for me, I've always been cool with it.
So I guess
also gay people can go to heaven. Of course.
The thing that I just have found though with my best friend is we like still connect over a lot of like things that we talk about, but I used to make him laugh a lot.
Yeah.
But I make mostly sexual jokes. Wait,
with who?
My best friend that's deeply religious
deeply
now.
Christian guy. Yeah.
And now he doesn't laugh at any of my jokes.
Oh no.
He just doesn't find humor because he's like, I don't want to think about those things. I don't want to think about sex. He's like, that's sinful. And so I would rather, I can't find humor in it because I don't like it anymore. And I'm like, I get that, but now we don't have this because now we don't share this humor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do we live, we can't be as close as we once were because now we are fundamentally different. And that's the thing that I worry about with having, I don't want to generate any beliefs that separate me from other people, but also I don't want to be believing in something that's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you will never do something that you don't, in your heart of hearts, want to do, Carter. You know what I mean? Your friend, it sounds like, has found a peace in a way in making himself locked up in that, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, as a Muslim, I have a lot of friends who are very, very, very religious, and when I look at their lives, I go, that's not for me. The way that they're seeing the world doesn't look very fun, doesn't look very happy, but they seem happy themselves, And so it's just a matter of doing what works for you.
Because even though my best friend, I feel that the things that he thinks are incorrect, the way that he operates with each person on an individual level, he's a very, very compassionate, nice guy. He's a good Christian. Right. He does a good job of and never condemning, because I'm very open. I've had problems with methamphetamine. I
didn't know that.
Had a lot of gay sex, and he's still my best friend.
Whoa.
I've told her all of my stuff, and he's still is like, you're my best friend, I love you, every time he calls me.
Wow.
And so he holds these beliefs, but I'm like, he's so forgiving and such a good guy.
That's very Christian.
And so
which you don't see a lot from Christians.
No. It's just weird. My whole my aunt is a devout Catholic, and she's a lesbian. Lives with her girlfriend.
Whoa!
I've never really asked her much about it, but I'm curious.
So I want to hear her confessions.
I know. I kind of want to ask her a lot about it, but
you should have her on the pod.
I know. I'm thinking I'm going to do that.
That's kind of awesome.
I know. Well, it's mostly because my family's very, very Catholic on my dad's side.
Oh.
So that's where the Catholic guilt of thinking that I masturbate and go to hell comes from.
Totally.
But yeah, I guess the other one is, because a lot of people that are scared of Islam, like, worry about they say, like, it shouldn't come with, you shouldn't try to get people to believe with force.
Yeah.
But there was times when Muhammad had to lead them through war, right?
Yeah, and those were also political situations. So it wasn't a matter of forcing people to convert to Islam, really, ever. The battles that took place in the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, there were 3 main battles, and they were against a much larger opponent. They were against the pagans of Mecca. So the Prophet was born in Mecca, had to leave because they were persecuting him. He lived in Mecca for 13, of prophethood. He was a prophet in Mecca for 13 years as like a, persecuted minority. These Muslims were subjugated. They were pushed into a ghetto. And then eventually they fled to Medina. And the wars were between these pagans in Mecca who were trying to destroy Islam because it fucked with their bottom line. Because Mecca was the capital of paganism in the Arabian Peninsula. That's where everyone would go and bring their idols. It was like a, one-stop shop for idols. You just go and you get this idol is good for food. You'll get a lot of bounteous bread if you have this idol. This idol is good for rain. And so that was Mecca's whole thing. And the Prophet came and was like, there's one God, idols are wrong. And so they really hated him because it was going to fuck with the local economy. And so the wars that took place between the pagans and the Muslims at that time were the wars of a much bigger opponent, the pagans, and this small group of Muslims in Medina. That eventually the Muslims did win. But they weren't, when they took Mecca, they didn't massacre the people, of course. They didn't do anything. The people of Mecca converted to Islam because they went, I guess this Muhammad is right. He defeated us, and we were much bigger than him for the past 20 years. We're a much bigger army. We have more resources. And the Muslims had kind of nothing. And yet they won. So, yeah, the Prophet's battles himself that he led were not battles that were offensive for the most part. Now, there are little raids and stuff here and there, but for the most part, no. The wars were, they were not, there was no massive bloodshed being spilled. And then he died before the major expansion of the Islamic Empire. Which even then, the major expansion of the Islamic Empire, which conquered the Middle East and Iran and North Africa, wasn't done in a way. There's no history of it being bloody. There's no history of it being brutal or mass conversions. And the Middle East itself took hundreds of years to convert to Islam, to a majority Islamic country, Islamic region. It wasn't like everyone's Muslim now. Nowhere. Even Syria, where my family's from. Syria took 200 years before there was a majority Muslim country. So yeah, we don't have a history of mass conversion by force, with some exceptions. India, I would say, there was, and this was 1,000 years after the Prophet lived. This was in the 1500s, that the Turkic Persian Muslim conquerors of India, the Mughals, did some forcible conversions in India, and you see the result of that now, where there's all this tension between Muslim, Indian, and Pakistanis, and then Hindus in India. There's all this tension, and it's been like that for 500 years because there was a precedent set by the Mughal emperors to mass convert, and it didn't work. So yeah, that's one example. But for the most part, we didn't do that. And the funny thing is to say we, and it's like I'm one guy talking about 1,500 years of history.
Just ask my buddy about why did you guys do the Crusades?
No, totally. I mean, the funny thing is people say Islam was spread by the sword, but it actually wasn't really, and Christianity kind of was. I mean, why is Central Africa Christian?
Well, yeah.
Why is there massive Catholic populations in South America? Was it a bunch of missionaries going over there and just saying you should love Jesus?
The thing that I just find interesting,
mass genocide over 400 years,
is because I don't want to seem like I think I'm smarter than everybody, but I'm like, how does that even? I just feel like anytime you go to a religion, it does that.
Yeah. Islam didn't do that. Islam is the one religion that didn't really do that. Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world, and there was never any Muslim conquest ever. It's spread by merchants going over there. And now it's the biggest Muslim country in the world, Indonesia. Our history is typically not spread through violence.
So what would, I mean, because...
But addendum, all cultural shifts typically in history they do happen through mass migration and through violence, generally. But the idea of, you are a Muslim now, or I'll cut your head off, that's not the history.
Okay, yeah, because the one that everybody always says is like the part that says kill the infidel, like the polytheists or whatever.
Yeah, well, that was a verse revealed during the war with the pagans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that exact.
And
where they were on the defensive.
Yeah, where they're on the defensive, and if you look at the life of the Prophet himself, you'll see that he was more merciful in dealings with the pagans than his companions wanted him to be, because he has all these companions who in Islam we love them. We don't view them as divine or anything, or revere them as holy, but we love them and we study them. And in the stories of the early Islam, when they're dealing and fighting with the pagans, the Prophet took a much more merciful bent than his companions were. Like, no, when we capture them in war, we should kill them. And the Prophet was like, no, we shouldn't kill them. We shouldn't be killing. We should try to convert them, and then if we don't want to convert, we can ransom them back and make money off of them for the whatever, the war and stuff like that. But the Prophet himself was very much on the side of being more merciful, which is in Islam. The Quran is very, and Allah is the most merciful, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, I watched like a short YouTube video where they like kind of broke it down, and they talked about how it kind of goes in reverse order for some, because like the last line of it says to catch them and ransom them, or like to let them repent and join.
Yeah.
But the issue, or like the part that they were debating, is that the first line is to kill, and then the last is to forgive. And they're like, which order do you do it in?
Sure. I mean, that's part of the beauty of religion. It kind of gives you a wide swath of options, I suppose you could say. I mean, there's a story in Islam of... there was the Battle of Badr, which is the first big battle in Muslim history between the Muslims and the pagans. And the Muslims are outnumbered, 3-1, and the Muslims won. And it was this big victory. And before the battle, the Prophet made a supplication to God. And he said, Ya Allah, let us win this war, because if we don't, or let us win this battle, if we lose, there will be no more Islam. Muslims will all be dead. The whole message will be gone. Please let us win this battle. And they did win. And they took prisoners from the battle of the pagans. And the Prophet wanted to... Again, I'm a comedian, so I'm not totally... I don't know everything. I might be misremembering. But the basic idea was, of these prisoners, the Prophet wanted to try to convert them, and that if they didn't, ransom them back to the pagans. And his companion, Umar, radiallahu anhu, Umar, who's one of his best friends, said, no, what we should do is, we should have the relatives of the prisoners who are Muslim and on our side kill the pagan prisoners. So if you're a pagan prisoner and your brother is a Muslim on our side, he should kill you. And it should be like as a message to be like, we're so connected that we're going to kill our brother and kill our uncle and our dad who's a pagan. And the Prophet was like, I don't like that. That sounds a little too brutal for me. And so he didn't do that. And then afterwards, the Prophet was basically like, Omar's idea was actually pretty good, but we didn't do it because it was just it wasn't merciful enough.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But you have to keep in mind, the Muslims at this time were a small group, and the pagans were much larger. The whole of Arabia was pagan.
I know everything takes context. It's just so difficult for me to like go like this. The word of this is divine, even though that person's ideology I probably wouldn't agree with.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't agree with it. Well, what do you mean?
I just don't understand how I'm so dumb and out of touch and not like committed to anything. I just go, how does war even happen? I just go like, how do you even feel? And this is obviously if you live a life of being persecuted and constantly living under like a hand that's ruling you very hard, you become resentful and then you fight. But I'm like, I haven't had anything like that in my life, so I'm just like, why doesn't everybody just chill? Why doesn't everybody
Well, the funny thing is, when people think about Islam and talk about the Islamic history, they do focus a lot on the wars and the battles that happened in the life of the Prophet, but they're only a quarter of the story. They're not the main story at all. I mean, for the majority of the Prophet's life, he was a merchant in Mecca. And then for the last quarter of his life, he was a prophet. He became a prophet at like 43, I believe, and he died at 60-ish. So, you know, do the math. The most of his life, he was just a guy, and then he was a prophet in his 40s. And for 13 years, he was persecuted in Mecca. And then for less than that, I think for 10 years, he was the leader of the Muslims in Medina, like as like a governor, whatever you'd want to call it, like a executive, a mayor. And so the majority of his prophethood was not one where he was a warrior. The majority of it was one where he was just a preacher, essentially. And the fixation on the battles, to me, it really smacks of this Orientalist kind of idea of like Muslims are violent and they're power hungry and they want to conquer and they just want to conquer Europe and then even when it becomes like there's refugees going into Europe, it comes back to the same idea of like, oh, they're trying to take over. How, hateful do you have to be to see human beings at their lowest? Refugee is the lowest a person can be. It's like you're not even homeless. You're homeless from your country. You don't even have land to stand on. A homeless guy at least can sleep on the street of his house or of a people's houses and he speaks the language. But a refugee is low. And to view them as invaders is just, to me, it's just sick. It's sick. These are they're going through the hardest shit. They've lost their families. Their homes are destroyed. They don't want to be refugees, bro. You know what I mean? And then they use this sentiment of Muslims, they try to conquer this, they conquer that. It's like, bro, Ahmed, the 24-year-old orphan baker from Aleppo is not trying to conquer Europe.
I mean, yeah. I agree, but I go once any, it's why I just go religion. The idea of religion is to spread it. There's no religion that doesn't want their religion to be the main religion of the world.
That's not true.
No?
Yeah, no, there are a few. Judaism.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sikhism, too. They don't try to spread. There's a few that don't try to spread, but of the main, of Islam and Christianity.
Yeah, that's a really
two,
dumb thing of me to say.
No,
Yeah,
but you're basically talking about Islam and Christianity. Islam, we don't have a culture or tradition of trying to spread the religion the same way that Christians do. We don't do missionary trips. We've never done missionary trips. Islam, we have something called da'wah, which means an invitation. And the way that we try to spread the religion is by being good examples to people. That's literally the way that you're supposed to convert people, is by being a good example in the way that you deal with them with trade, with marriage, with the way you treat each other as human beings. So Islam, you're never going to see a mission trip to Chile of trying to convert people. Now in that way, maybe you'll go, well, then the refugees are trying to convert people, because if they're going and trying to be nice to everybody, then isn't that their form of da'wah, of invitation? And it's like, well, sure, but if you have an issue with people being nice to you, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
I guess the the issue that I had, not issue that I have, not the one, but everybody wants to have their ideology as the main one.
Yeah.
If in their ideal world, the world operates under how they want it to.
Sure.
And so I just am so if a Muslim were to have their way, how would a trans person also have their way of how the world was operating? I don't know how those two can be true.
Yeah.
And so I go how do you vote consistently? I guess because what you were saying earlier of you don't have to stress your beliefs that hard. You should be able to live however you want freely in a society.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, the thing is, your personal religious beliefs are ones that you take with you to the grave. Here, my beliefs about politics are ones that will stop when I die. And however much I can infuse goodness from my religion into my beliefs politically, you try, but I'm not trying to. I don't know. I mean, the thing about if a Muslim person and a trans person want these different things, I don't know if they necessarily do. Even if I could have a Islamist state in America, I don't think I would be doing anything anti-gay or anti-trans, really. genuinely, because in Islam even we're taught not to be private lives. You're not supposed to be looking into people's private lives. There's a story from the time of Omar, who I mentioned earlier. He was really kind of an intense guy,
best
the one
friend.
who wanted to kill.
Yeah.
He was the Prophet's second best friend. When he became the Khalifa, the Caliph, which means successor, after the Prophet died, he was second in line. There was a story of him being in charge. He's a Khalifa. And then this man from Medina, where they were, came to the Prophet and said, I saw my neighbor drinking alcohol in his house. We should whip him. Because the punishment for public intoxication is whipping at the time. And Omar is like, the guy was drinking alcohol in his house. You're the weirdo for looking into his house.
Okay.
If anyone's getting punished, it's you. Why the fuck? Why do I know about it? I shouldn't know about this.
Interesting.
When people are doing things in their lives, it's not up to us to be judging them. And that's something that you get throughout early Islamic history. It's not up to us to be judging people's private decisions, really.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I mean, do whatever you want.
See,
and you're also supposed to assume the best of everybody. In Islam, you're supposed to give people 99 excuses. That's from the Prophet. You give somebody 99 excuses for why they're doing something. Whatever they're doing, if they're doing something you think is forbidden or something annoying, you have to make as many excuses in your head for them to live a good life. So, if you see something that you think is wrong or haram or forbidden or whatever, you're not supposed to jump to the conclusion of you're a sinner.
Isn't music haram?
Some people say it is. I don't. I like music.
I was my buddy sent me an anti-Zohran video, and it was the guy was ranting about his rap, and he was like, "Music's not haram. Shouldn't be rapping."
Music is fine. A lot of scholars say it's haram, but I think they're silly. I think music's
my best friend only listens to Christian music.
Good for him.
I know.
Bro, your best friend sounds intense.
Dude, yes, but he's such a good guy.
Well, that's great.
And he, really is, trying his best.
Yeah.
And so I don't...
Does he have a family? Does he have kids or a wife or something?
No. Well, he has a family. He went to a really good college. I shouldn't give... I mean, yeah, he did the pod. But he still lives with his family. He's he's in an in-between spot where he's really trying to figure out what he wants to do. Yeah, how are we doing on time?
We're good. I got a few more minutes.
Okay, yeah, we'll wrap it up here in a sec.
Hell yeah.
I guess the biggest question he probably has for you that he wants to know is the big straw man is the Islamic dilemma of seeing Jesus as a prophet and him claiming that he's God.
Well, he didn't say he was God. Jesus never said he was God.
He said he's the son of God?
Yeah, but then so did Moses, so did Muhammad, so did every prophet says that they're the son of God. In Islam, we believe that Jesus was a prophet. We believe he was divine, holy. We believe in the Immaculate Conception. We believe that he's the Messiah, that he's going to come back at the end of days.
Mm-hmm. And he'll judge, right?
I don't know if he judges, but I think he's going to establish a society, whatever. He's going to establish after the Antichrist and the whole end game.
Yeah, you don't believe that he even died. You believe
we don't believe he died. We believe that he ascended
to
heaven. Yeah. So we believe that Jesus is. We place a lot of value on Jesus in Islam. We believe he's one of the main humans ever.
He was the guy right before Muhammad got here.
Right before Muhammad, peace be upon him. And we think that Jesus, and we don't draw Jesus either. Alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah be pleased with him. We don't draw Jesus. We don't depict any prophet because we believe that there's, holy, and we don't want people to worship them. That's our whole thing in Islam, is that we believe Jesus was a Muslim because he came to these people and he said, worship one God. And he was trying to disestablish the system of, bureaucratic corruption that was going on inside of the temples at the time in Jerusalem. And it didn't work. And you look 100 years after his death and suddenly everyone's worshiping him as a god, and he's being infused with Roman paganism, and people are celebrating his birthday the same time that they would celebrate the pagan holidays in the end of the year. And, we view that as something that Muhammad came to correct. He was sent to correct the mistakes of the followers of Jesus generations after Jesus' ascension. So yeah, we don't think that he said, "I'm God." He doesn't say it in the Bible. And if he said it, it would be so much. Christians would have a much easier argument against us if he said, "I am God." But he never said it. He says that I'm, whatever. You come through the Father through me. It's like, yeah, that means worship God the way that Jesus wanted you to worship, which is with your head on the floor, as he did in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is the way that Muslims pray. We pray with our heads on the floor the way Jesus did, and Christians do this thing. Where do they get that? What is this from? The finger, the cross in the hand, this thing?
I don't know. It feels nice, though. It's what I do when I meditate.
Well, that's very sweet.
You did the hands together?
Sure.
Okay.
It's not what Jesus did.
All right. I don't care what Jesus did. I care about feeling peaceful.
Well, I'm arguing with your best friend right now.
I know. But the thing that I can never get past is, like, maybe I'll figure it out one day. I just go, like, well, everybody who believes in religion is dumb. And I'm smarter.
You'll get there one day.
I know.
Do you not think that now?
Like that thought that I just said, I do think that.
Oh, you do think that?
But I don't, like, I hate that I think that, because it feels like I'm disrespecting everybody. Like, I shouldn't completely disregard somebody and discount what they believe.
Yeah.
But I go, they can only believe that because they are able to believe in things that aren't true. And so they're dumb.
That's so interesting.
And I don't know how to, like, move past it, because I'm like, I disagree fundamentally.
Right.
And what we disagree on, I can only attribute to the fact that they are dumb.
I think that's very simple, and I do deal with a lot of atheists in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't really that many between the years of 2013 and 2020 that I would meet that were like militant atheists. When I first started in 2011, there were a few more, but then I think they kind of it became cringy to be that way. And now they're kind of coming back. Where now every other podcast I do is people talking about how religion is dumb, and I just have to be like, ugh.
Because there's like, such a Christian nationalist movement, they got to counter it.
I'm a comedian, and so many of my podcasts I have to talk about the shit that's not funny at all.
Well, this podcast isn't funny.
And that's okay, and that's totally fine, but it's like, you want me to... When I walk around and I see a tree, Islam teaches me to say, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah, because we view every single inanimate object, every single thing as part of a perfect creation of God, and it's all a reflection of God's mercy on us that we can breathe in oxygen, and that we're put on this planet, and every single element of my being is a mercy, and every difficulty that I have is a test, and it's easy to pass as long as you're keeping Allah's oneness in your mind and you're comfortable with that. It brings me so much peace and so much beauty to live this way. Obviously, I have a ton of issues. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm fucked up. I do things really wrong, but religion and Islam for me is beautiful, and it makes I couldn't imagine being another way. I couldn't imagine not praying 5 times a day. It would fill me with dread, the idea of not being connected to my Creator. And I'm kind of ranting because it's like annoying to have to defend it.
Oh yeah.
But I love you, and I'm not attacking you at all. But it's so much of that is like, well then, but why would God allow murder? It's like, bro, that I'm just trying to feel good and believe in something that's important to me.
Well, that's what I go.
And I can answer why God allows murder, but it's annoying because you're coming from a place where you just will never accept it. And the Quran says that these people's eyes are not blind, but their hearts are blind. They're completely blinded to being able to accept things, and they've accepted what they wanted to accept, and it's done. And it's like, all right, I'll argue with you, but I just want to sit around and eat pie and pray,
Yeah, and well, I guess I'm coming at it from like, I don't know what I am supposed to do with my life. And it seems that people that are religious know what to do with their lives. And I'm like, well, I want to achieve that so badly.
The thing is, in a vague sense, I do, but also on a day-to-day, it's still a test. On a day-to-day...
it's a test, but there's a book that gives you the answers. And that's the thing that I want.
It doesn't give you the answers.
It tells you what you should be trying to do.
It gives you. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it gives you a little bit of a cheat sheet, but for the most part, you're on your own when you're dealing with a lot of these things.
And I want to believe in something so that I get the cheat sheet. I want one of them to just say this is the one, and then I can follow it, so I can read the book and go, okay, these are all the rules I got to follow, and then I'll feel happy by the end.
Dude, the rules. A lot of people shit on the rules. The rules are kind of they're kind of great.
Dude, and
it's so nice to just. I've gone my whole life and been like, I'm never gonna drink alcohol. I'm never gonna gamble. I'm never gonna do this and that. And people see it as such an impediment to enjoying life. It's the best. And every time I stray from my religion and stray from what I know I'm supposed to be doing and avoiding, I always regret it. And it's not because of shame. It's not because I feel guilty. It's because I always just find myself in these quagmires. Whenever I'm dealing with women, when I deal with, when I have women things, which I'm not supposed to have. I'm supposed to be a good, chaste Muslim boy, but that's sort of my issue. And it's always bad. Mm-hmm. I'm always fucking up.
God, it always ends bad.
It always ends bad.
You shouldn't hook up with people.
You shouldn't.
And there's a reason why every religion tells you all these rules. Yes. And I've been deep diving into every religion, going, what do they all say? They all kind of say these things that you shouldn't have a lot of sex. You shouldn't take too much pleasure in anything. You shouldn't be attached to things. You gotta, I don't know, but then some of them take certain paths and focus on these things, and I don't know. I went on that retreat before I came here.
The silent retreat, right?
There were so many, and there were so many like truths that I felt like I came to that like I'm like, well, yeah, those are the truths, but I can't follow those.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, and the dating thing in America is really difficult, especially for a Muslim guy in a creative field. It's difficult, man.
Yeah, it rains on you. How can you control it?
It's just not easy.
You're living in Zohran's New York.
I'm living in Zohran's New York now.
72 virgins right on your plate.
Bro, I wonder if Zohran will help.
Oh yeah.
Being a Muslim guy? Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, this is gonna be.
You're like being a white guy in the 60s.
Dude,
more like the 50s, but
yeah, 50s, 60s was more black guy.
Yeah,
time.
60s actually.
Black guy with the jazz and the big suit, going out on the town.
God, I want to play football. I want to play football in the 1950s,
bro,
and be a running back.
Every one of us would be the best football player alive in the 50s.
I think about that.
We're pumped full of microplastics and fucking antibiotic chicken and shit. Like, we're so strong.
But you're living in the prime.
What does that mean?
You get the microplastics now, and you get to have your representation here. This is a big deal.
Sure, but if I went back to the 50s, I'd be so strong. You see the strong men in the 50s? They're like little scrawny guys.
I know.
I'm a big dude now compared to them.
I don't do any take any supplements or anything like that. Work out too intensely, but I have pretty good lifts for like back then as well.
For sure.
I think about if I just lifted or played football when my dad was playing football, I would have been great.
You look like a QB.
Yeah? Well, thank you. I'm 5'9". I can't.
Who's your team? The Browns?
The Browns are technically my NFL. I like.
Oh, but you don't really follow it.
The Bengals more because I was living in Cincy when they were good, and that was fun.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Bengals are cooler. I mean, Joe Burrow is so sick, even though I feel like he gets injured every season.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention too much.
Oh, okay.
Well,
all right, buddy.
I think we've gotten to the end of this.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course,
Sorry,
dude.
I'm about to make you late for your thing.
No, it's okay.
Dude, thank you guys for watching. Hope this was good.
Inshallah. That's what we say.
Peace.
Bye.
Inshallah.